We go back to New York now for Michael Portantiere. He's a regular columnist and photographer for BroadwayStars.com, and he's also contributed interviews and reviews to the website for National Public Radio. He's written for the Sondheim Review and many other print and online publications. He's also a photographer, and his work has appeared in the New York Times and the Daily News. Michael Portantiere, hey, happy to have you in the neighborhood. How you doing?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Oh, very, very proud and happy to have you here. Because we're running a bit late, I apologize for that. Let's get right to the categories we want you to pick and prognosticate about. Featured actress in a musical will begin. Laura Benanti, Women on the Verge of a Nervous Breakdown. Tammy Blanchard, How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying. Victoria Clark in Sister Act. And Nikki M. James, kind of a newcomer in the Book of Mormon, and not a newcomer at all, Patti LuPone for Women on the Verge of a Nervous Breakdown. Your thoughts, Michael Portantiere?
Well, it's I would say a highly competitive category. Any of these women deserve the award. I wouldn't be in the least upset if any particular person won. I would say that we can probably discount Laura Benanti and Patti LuPone for two reasons. Women on the Verge was a very unsuccessful show financially. It had a very brief run. It's been closed for quite some time. Despite the fact that both Ms. Benanti and Ms. LuPone were excellent in the show, the overall experience was not judged to be that great, obviously, and the audience felt the same way because it didn't last, and the critics certainly felt the same way. And then also on top of that, both women won for the Gypsy revival, which was really not that long ago at all. So when you put all that together, I would say that they either one of them winning would be a real long shot. So I think it's between the other three, and it's hard to say. Nikki M. James is in many ways the heart of the Book of Mormon, even though her role is not that large and certainly not a central role. And also the fact that that show has a tremendous amount of buzz behind it. So she may get the award as part of the general groundswell of support for that show. Victoria Clark is giving a really excellent performance in Sister Act, a performance that I think really grounds the musical. She manages to very neatly walk the line between comedy and giving it some kind of real emotion in her role of the Mother Superior. So I think she certainly would deserve to win. I'm not sure if she will. It's hard to say. And Tammy Blanchard, who I think would probably get my vote overall if I were voting, does a terrific job in How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying in the role of Hetty LaRue. And one of the things that's so wonderful about it is she plays it very differently from the way I've seen it before. She doesn't play it as a ditzy blonde, and in fact she's not blonde in the show, or a ditzy redhead for that matter, but she plays it as sort of a woman who's not well educated, but very streetwise and very smart about in terms of knowing what the situation is that she's in and getting what she wants. So I think she would probably get my vote, although it would be hard for me if I was voting to pick among these women. But I think I would go with her, and I think it's hard to say. I mean, I think she certainly has a shot at it. She is well respected, I think, in the industry, and she also has some film and TV work behind her that makes her a known quantity. So we'll see what happens with that.
Cool. We're talking with Michael Portantiere, who writes regularly for BroadwayStars.com. He was talking about featured actress in a musical, and now we move to another category, direction of a play. And actually some I think, well, we'll see. We'll see what you have to say about this category. We've got Marianne Elliott and Tom Morris for War Horse, Joel Grey and George C. Wolfe for The Normal Heart, Anna D. Shapiro for The Mother Effer with a Hat, and Daniel Sullivan for the revival of The Merchant of Venice. Your thoughts?
Yeah, This one for me is not so tough, but we'll see what happens with the voting. I personally do not think that the directors of Warhorse deserve the award. I hasten to point out that Marianne Elliott and Tom Morris are credited only with the direction. The movement and horse sequences are credited to Toby Sedgwick. There's also an associate director credited, Drew Barr, an associate puppetry director, Merwin Miller, and then the puppetry design, fabrication, and direction is credited to Handspring Puppet Company. So I think that really all that Marianne Elliott and Tom Morris did was directing the actors, and I guess the blocking of the scenes that don't involve the horses. And I have to say, much to my dismay, I found the acting in the show uniformly very overzealous, very overacted, to the point where it constantly took me out of the show. And since it's across the board, with almost no exception, I have to assume that it was the directors who pushed for that kind of performance from the company as a whole, and I just think it's really unfortunate. For what it's worth, an acquaintance of mine saw the show in London, and he loved it there. He didn't feel that way at all about that production, which these same two people directed, I hasten to add. But he said he had heard a similar thing to what I was saying about the New York production at the Vivian Beaumont, that the acting is very overdone and really not very good overall. So all I can assume is that maybe because the Broadway company is an entirely American company, which is impressive in terms of their ability to do creditable English accents, and in one case a German accent. But maybe the focus, I don't know, maybe the focus went on that rather than actually creating credible characters, because to me it's just kind of very overdone, very overacted.
But let's get to the other shows in the category. You've got Normal Heart, Mother Effer with a Hat, and Merchant of Venice. So if it's not going to be Warhorse, your thoughts on the others?
Well, I don't know. Joel Grey and George C. Wolfe is another odd situation, because first of all, Joel Grey apparently directed a reading of the show that was done last year, one night reading for charity, and that was the basis of this production. He apparently directed that version, which didn't have much of what we would normally call direction, and certainly in terms of blocking or anything like that. He apparently was not directly involved in the direction of this production at all, but because he did the other one, he receives co-direction credit with George C. Wolfe. So that's a kind of an odd situation already. And plus, on top of that, although I thought the show was really fantastic overall, I don't think that necessarily the actual direction was that stellar. So I would say that in terms of who should get it, it should be between Anna D. Shapiro for The Mother Blanker with the Hat and Daniel Sullivan for The Merchant of Venice. Both really excellent jobs of direction. I personally would probably go with Daniel Sullivan, only because obviously, it is very difficult to make Shakespeare work for a modern audience in a way that doesn't seem like just a retread of the way we've seen these plays done hundreds of times before. And I think he achieved that with the help of a stellar cast, including Lily Rabe and Al Pacino. So that's where I would go with that. But as to who is going to get it, I don't know. I think it might be Warhorse, and I really think that would not deserve that specific award.
Fair enough. Michael Portantiere weighing in on direction of a play for the upcoming Tony Awards. Just have 1 or 2 more minutes left with Michael, who is, again, a writer, a columnist, and photographer for BroadwayStars.com. And your thoughts on the 2010-2011 season as a whole, both on and off Broadway?
Well, one thing I would say is that we should all be very happy that we seem to be in a cycle now of where there are far more original musicals than there were for several of the past several seasons. Not too long ago, there were all these revivals and almost no new shows. And this year it's quite the opposite. There were only two
revivals. Yeah.
there were only two revival nominees. Anything Goes and How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying. So I think that's a very positive sign, even though some of the new musicals are not terribly original in terms of the fact some of them are jukebox musicals or whatever. And then I would also say I just mentioned that one of the best musicals I saw was off-Broadway, and it was called The Kid. It was based on Dan Savage's book about adopting a child with his male lover. And so that's the kind of thing that you might never see on Broadway, but it was a really fantastic show, and I'm glad I saw it. And I personally, I would say, just want to mention, I voted for it in the Drama Desk Awards because the Drama Desk do nominate both off-Broadway and Broadway in the same categories. And I actually did vote for it over the Book of Mormon, not that it, even though I knew it was not going to really have much of a snowball's chance in hell of winning.
Michael Portantiere, you're certainly a winner for giving your thoughts here on the Total Theater Tony Show. I want to thank you so much. And if people want to read you on BroadwayStars.com, you do something at least once a week, right, for that website?
Pretty much on the average, yes. I have an interview with Michael Urie coming up. He's doing a celebrity autobiography show, a special edition for Gay Pride, and I'm looking forward to that. That should be really quite something.
Okay. Well, and again, thank you. It's been something to have you here as part of the wonderful group of people who've been weighing in on the Tony Awards. Michael, thank you so much for being...
Thanks so much, David. Talk to you soon.